Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Government Senator calls for stronger health legislation. Area 2 Police Division reports 13% drop in major crime. And later in sports, Reggae Boys 6-man preliminary squad announced for upcoming CONCACAF Gold Cup. Now the details. Government Senator and psychiatrist Dr. Sophia Longmore is calling for stronger health legislation. Speaking on Power 106 Morning Agenda Tuesday, Dr. Longmore says the current legislation falls short when it comes to promoting and protecting public health. The discussion was brought into sharp focus following a surge in violent attacks targeting women and girls in recent weeks. On Monday, several advocacy groups took to the streets in island-wide protests, demanding action to end the violence. Government Senator and psychiatrist Dr. Sophia Longmore, who has been closely following the developments, says these incidents must be recognized as a public health crisis. She pointed to the deep psychological trauma likely suffered by victims, their families, and communities.
There's so many ramifications to the consequences. When we're talking about chronic lifestyle illnesses, it has been shown that trauma is a significant contributor to that too. So it is affecting the physical self, the immune system.
So that the body is showing you through illness that you have dealt with all of these things before, and the illness that you might be dealing with.
When people live in a high cortisol state, it affects multiple aspects of their lives.
She emphasized the pressing need for a legislation that directly confronts these issues.
So many pieces of our legislation. And when you look at government and the purpose of government really, it is to see to a healthy population. That is a reflection of a successful society. A society that is unhealthy is a society that needs intervention. And a lot of our legislations do not consider or give the gravity to the parameters of health. Advocating for, but it is also being shown, crime and violence is especially a public health emergency.
Her call comes at a critical time as the health system faces mounting pressures and communities struggle with escalating domestic violence and social fragmentation.
Our families, the basic unit of society is our family. This is where we learn to communicate. This is where we learn to resolve conflict. This is where we learn how to be our own selves, how to set our boundaries, how to recognize positive and negative and what is good for you and what is not. If we have a breakdown in our families, it is going to manifest in our societies.
The Area 2 Police Division has reported a 13% drop in major crime at the start of the second quarter of 2025. This following a significant 45% decrease in the first quarter. Assistant Commissioner of Police MacArthur Sutherland credits the continued decline to effective crime fighting strategies.
We divided the 24 hours in quadrants. We have the pre-dawn focus. We then set up a mid-morning focus, afternoon, and then it now transitioned into I would call it the traditional crime band, which is from 6 to midnight. So we had to look at each quadrant and plan and deploy and focus on each quadrant individually.
ACP Sutherland was speaking during a JCF Past Members Association function. He noted that among the 5 geographic areas and 19 geographic divisions within the JCF, Area 2 recorded the highest percentage reduction in murders and emerged as the top performing division overall.
Our efforts to continue with the crime reduction trajectory really and essentially lies in our ability to effectively collaborate, to be equal partners. Anything other than that will see a reverse of the gains we have made.
Justice Minister Delroy Chuck is urging newly commissioned Justices of the Peace in St. Anne to uphold their integrity. Mr. Chuck cautioned them to remain within the bounds of their legal responsibilities and avoid overstepping their authority. Justice Minister Delroy Chuck emphasized that while justices of the peace play a crucial role in community justice, their role does not include law enforcement. He warned the St. Anne JPs against overstepping their authority, making it clear that investigating or apprehending criminals is the sole responsibility of the police.
Assist now in removing as much or as many of the wrongdoing that is overwhelming the Jamaican society. And we all know what is wrongdoing. Don't sympathize with wrongdoers. And to the best of your knowledge, you may not be able to do much. I beg you, don't take on police work. Leave it to DSP McGibbon Scott. But if you see crime occurring, have the courage to report it to the police.
Mr. Chuck also cautioned the 36 new JPs against sympathizing with criminals or turning a blind eye to wrongdoing. Instead, he called on them to bring those who break the law to justice and ensure that justice is served impartially.
When they come and they offer you money, $1 million if you will just recommend me or sign this document. In fact, the more they offer you, the less likely you should succumb because something wrong. But even if they offer you a trip abroad or anything, please, your integrity must come first.
Meanwhile, Minister Chuck praised the efforts of the JPs and law enforcement in the parish, noting that crime in the parish remains relatively low compared to other parts of Jamaica.
St. Anne is not doing badly, but it can do much better. On the crime front, the murders have gone at this moment, from 28 last year at this time to 18, which is 10 less than last year. But other parishes, I have to be frank with you, as DSP McGibbon Scott, you're way down at the bottom in terms of how well the parishes are doing.
General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, is condemning the government's decision to appeal a Supreme Court ruling. The ruling declared that several states of public emergency imposed between January 2018 and February 2023 were unconstitutional.
They climb up a barren tree. There's nothing on that tree for them to get. And I mean, this government does not have a track record of winning cases when we go to the Constitutional Court. I mean, from the unsigned, undated resignation letters to the needs to this SOE ruling. And remember, there was a previous SOE ruling against them as well. So I am not concerned about that. I think they're just trying to save face.
Dr. Campbell says the SOEs have produced no meaningful results.
The government said they were going to give us some enhanced security measures. That bill has been in gestation now, elephantine. I mean, for years, and we haven't gotten it. So I want to say to the government that they are to use legislation. We use anti-gang legislation, we use anti-scamming legislation, we use the DNA legislation when we were last in government, and we were able in 2014, the murder rate was 1,005 without any states of emergency or anything like that. So I think the government can operate, as the data is showing now, that it can go down from those high levels where they had brought it to without the use of states of emergency.
And opposition Senator Peter Bunting has accused the GLP-led administration of using the security forces to bully citizens. Speaking at a recent political meeting in Manchester, he expressed concern over what he described as bullying tactics.
We saw in the COVID time when Floyd Green and the Labour Right cronies were drinking pink champagne on no movement days, when the little person was getting fined hundreds of thousands of dollars for not wearing a mask or being caught out on the road after curfew. That is why we call them a regime. We call them a regime because they love to stand up flat by their generals, playing the role of a petty tyrant.
He welcomed the reduction in crime. Mr. Bunting argued that the ruling GLP should not be credited for the improvement. The Jamaica Labour Party is urging voters to assess the administration's performance when heading to the polls. At a party function over the weekend, GLP officials stated that the country is on the right track under Dr. Andrew Holness's leadership.
From all indications, the 2025 general elections is shaping up to be a close contest, with both political parties claiming victory. This was the JLP's Member of Parliament for St. Catherine Southwestern, Everald Warmington, on Friday.
The third term is assured. I'm in this thing 56 years. I can feel the wind. It's going in our direction. The third term is assured.
But historically, the JLP has never won 3 consecutive terms. Party officials, however, insist the Andrew Holness-led government has done the work. And so, to the voters,
choose performance. Choose performance over propaganda. Choose performance over cascas.
Party workers in St. Mary's Southeastern were recognized for their contribution to the party. It's a seat the PNP is hoping to reclaim. The current MP is Dr. Norman Dunn.
I see the PNP going around and them promising and them are give some other things too because they are of the view they can win this seat. We are going to show them that not go so. We have a good MP. We have a better government. We have a better Prime Minister.
An assertion re-emphasized by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness, who contends that given the positive economic indicators and the sharp decline in crime, the country is heading in the right direction.
So on all the critical variables, it is the Jamaica Labour Party that is the best performing government.
Janella Precious, TVJ News.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby, is calling for the annual general meeting of the Association of Local Government Authorities of Jamaica to be held. Mayor Swaby explained that the rules say an AGM should happen every 2 years, but the last one was in 2017. An attempt to hold the meeting in January fell apart, causing the police to step in to calm tempers.
We pushed last year to have an ALGA AGM, and there was an attempt to have an ALGA AGM meeting in Mandeville. For reasons that was in the public sphere, it had to be aborted. We were only invited to a meeting just last week since then. And we raised the issue again about having an ALGA general meeting.
And in that same meeting last week, Mr. Swaby says those involved avoided talking about choosing
the chairman, along with the JLP mayors, don't want to have an AGM meeting. A mayor actually asked the question about sharing the minutes of the meetings before the actual meeting. And the JLP mayors that were present there actually asked that the meeting be adjourned just to avoid the discussion around the ALGA general meeting.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
The Pan-Jamaican Group generated consolidated net profits of $2.1 billion and profits attributable to shareholders of $1.7 billion During the first quarter ending March 31, revenues for the period amounted to $9.8 billion. The group's chairman Jeffrey Hall says the performance reflects the strength and resilience built up due to the diversification of its business. This includes investments and property infrastructure, specialty food, global markets, and financial services. Further afield, Subaru says it has adjusted the sales price of vehicles sold in the U.S. to, quote, offset increased costs, end quote. In a statement Monday, the Japanese automaker said the price change is in response to current market conditions, but did not directly link the changes to the tariffs. Subaru is the latest automaker to make a price increase in the U.S. as expenses rise from President Donald Trump's tariff policies. While Subaru did not confirm the exact dollar amount of its price changes, a Massachusetts Subaru dealership posted on its website that prices will rise as much as $2,000 depending on the vehicle model. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Carrie Simpson.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, voters in Suriname will head to the polls on May 25. The closely contested race between the National Democratic Party (NDP) and the Progressive Reform Party (VHP) is likely to result in coalition negotiations. Two women, Jennifer Girling Simmons (NDP) and Krishna Mathura (VHP), have emerged as the top female presidential hopefuls. On the international scene, the first flight carrying migrants who chose to self-deport from the United States landed in Honduras Monday. 38 Hondurans took advantage of the new Department of Homeland Security initiative, offering free flights and $1,000 stipend for each person. The DHS says the initiative will cut deportation costs, which it says currently average more than $17,000 per case. A Department of Homeland Security official said the flight carried 64 people total, including nearly 24 children. At least 4 of them were born in the U.S. They left with their Honduran relatives to avoid family separation. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Antonia Atkinson.
We take another break. Sports is next.